Are you new to using Splunk? Are you looking to get your hands dirty and learn more about Splunk? Are you looking to install Splunk in your home lab? Then you're in the right place. Keep your hands in the vehicle because this ride is about to start. Hi, my name is Mark Snyder and I am a technical marketing engineer here at Splunk. Today, I'm going to walk you through the installation of Splunk Enterprise on Debian as a VM and on the hypervisor Proxmox, where I will show you how to set up Debian 13 as a VM and how to configure Debian for Splunk. Then I will walk you through installing Splunk, starting it, and setting it up to boot with Debian. Let's get started. To deploy Splunk Enterprise 10.2 as an all-in-one instance, you need a balance of high compute power and fast disk throughput. The core requirement centers on 12 physical cores, 24 vCPUs, and a baseline of 12 gigabits of RAM, though 32 gigabits is the standard for production reliability and search performance. Storage is the most critical factor. Your hardware must maintain at least 800 sustained IOPS, typically requiring SSD or NVMe drives, with a minimum starting capacity of 300 gigabytes. This setup is optimized for modern 64-bit environments. Note the current documentation is for Debian version 11 and 12. But for today, and knowing that it's only for our home lab, we are going to live dangerously and install it on Debian 13. If it was production, I would follow what's listed or speak with your Splunk SE if you have a different environment. The first thing we're going to do is go into Proxmox and upload our ISO for Debian 13. Now with the ISO uploaded, let's go and let's install Debian. In Proxmox, make sure that you have a machine type that is supported. This depends on your processor and what hypervisor that's as the BIOS notices, or at least that's what I believe it is. Disk size, I know it said 800 in the install media or the requirements. We're going to leave it as 100 gig for now. Again, it's a lab environment. We can always add space. For CPUs, we're going to start off here as well. We're just going to have 4 sockets and we're going to put 2 cores per socket. Right, and for memory, for now, we're going to leave it as for 16 gigs. And we are going to leave the bridge adapter. This will allow us to have access through the native Ethernet interface. Let's start the VM and let it boot off of the ISO image. For our Debian software packs, we're not going to install the Debian desktop environment nor the GNOME Windows Manager. We're going to add an SSH server in there, and we're going to leave the standard Linux utilities. We're going to do a little Linux housekeeping here and remove the the DHCP IP address, and we're going to give it a static address. All right, we're going to restart the networking stack, so the static IP takes precedence. And then we're going to set up our terminal server so we're not accessing it through the Proxmox console. All right, now that we're logged in through the terminal, we are going to create a couple of users. Well, we're going to create one user, the Splunk user, and this is the account in Linux that Splunk will boot up under and use. The other thing we're going to do here is just add myself to the Seduers group, and I also have to add Seduer as part of the application. And then the other piece I'm going to add from apt is curl. So because curl is used during the install script of Splunk. Now we're going to go to Splunk and we're going to register for our free trial and download. To give you some background on the trial license, it is time limited and will expire 60 days after you install the instance. There is a daily ingest cap which allows indexing up to 500 megabytes per day. This is for standalone architected deployments only, meaning that it cannot be used in a distributed design. Licenses cannot be stacked. If you exceed the 500 megabytes per day, Splunk will generate license warnings. After enough warnings, you will hit a license violation that prevents searching until you're back in compliance. To keep all enterprise features, you will need to install a paid enterprise license or switch to a free model. Free will keep the 500 megabytes per day cap and will disable features like alerting, authorization methods, and user preferences. We are going to select Linux for our download, and we're going to get a wget link so we can download it within the Debian environment. And you can see here that I forgot to install sudo, so let's take care of that. Now let's install the Debian package. Now let's start Splunk for the first time. And during the first time, you're going to be asked to accept the licensing agreement. And we're going to be asked to set up a admin account for Splunk. This is separate from the Linux users that are local on the host. So we're going to call that administrator account admin, and we're going to set the password for that as well. Now we can see that the installation is finished. That'll give us a URL for us to access the web page, and notice the port of 8000. Now we want to enable boot on start, so Splunk starts if the system is rebooted. Now that everything is configured, let's confirm that we have web access. It looks like the port is open, and now let's try the GUI from a web browser. Now that we're in the web interface, let's make a few changes. The first thing that we're going to do is change over to dark mode. The second thing we want to change is we want to enable HTTPS. And then lastly, let's take a look at those licenses. That concludes this video. I hope that you found it useful. Please make sure you see my other videos such as Splunk Federated Search for Amazon S3 or Splunk Data Manager Promote for Amazon S3. My name is Mark Snyder, and thank you for watching.